To understand why my friend Dahmer's last 10 minutes are absolutely perfect storytelling, you have to know who Jeffrey Dahmer is himself. Jeffrey Dahmer was a homosexual and a necrophiliac, and he was a murderer. But he wasn't always a murderer. Throughout the entire movie, it gives you signs that something is wrong with Jeff. At every single turn, everyone shuts him out, and no one offers him help. He's hopeless. Derf Backderf, the one who wrote My Friend Dahmer, which is the same title of this film, he himself talked about this entire dilemma in the book and in an interview. Speaking with The Independent, he himself revealed that he really didn't do anything to help the situation as to if there was something wrong with Jeff. He said him and his friends, they thought there was really not that much wrong with him. They just thought he was acting like that to be funny, which Jeff was. But there's a darker meaning as to why Jeff was acting like that. And that was so he can find an escape. The entire movie, Jeff is trying to find an escape with his conflicting feelings of being homosexual and being a necrophiliac. Now, there's nothing wrong with being gay or homosexual, but during the 70s, when this film takes place and when this happened, you could see why Jeff would think there is something wrong with being gay, and there was nothing wrong with it. It's just people thought it was something that people shouldn't be, and even today some people think like that, and that is wrong. If someone is gay, they should be allowed to be gay. But during that time, Jeff didn't have an outlet to express his feelings like that to anyone, and unfortunately, his parents didn't even try to help him. His mom was a neglectful drunk who even herself had mental disabilities, and his father struggled to connect with Jeff. He tried everything. He tried, but he did the wrong approach. He tried to make his son a masculine figure by, trying to get him into football, into weightlifting, which is something that Jeff does do. He takes up weightlifting, and that later foreshadows his first murder victim. But there was still an underlining factor. Jeff preferred biology. He preferred the anatomy of dead creatures and humans. And in the movie, he has a tool shed where he keeps dead bones from animals. And his father later destroys the shack, thinking it's an unhealthy habit. Now, some could see, yes, that is an unhealthy habit, but others can see that's him being curious with biology. And his father later destroys that, destroying one of the very few things Jeff enjoyed doing outside of school and when he wasn't with friends. During the movie, Jeffrey Dahmer and his friend Durf, they start their friendship when Jeff starts acting out in a weird way. He starts acting mentally disabled, and that is to get recognized. That is one of his first attempts at trying to cope with his coming out feelings of being homosexual and being a necrophiliac. And all they chalked it up to, Durf and his friends, were, oh, he's just a bit different. And they never really thought there was a deeper meaning or a deeper problem with Jeff, and ultimately they never were able to help him. And unfortunately, this leads to everything that happened with Jeff. His friends neglecting his issues, and his parents not doing anything to help. His parents are the most at fault, in my opinion, because this could have been avoided if they properly got him help, and it just never happened. So throughout the movie, there's a build-up. There's a slow burning build-up of Jeff's outburst. You see every time he gets something he enjoys, it's taken away. Durf and them, their friend group, it eventually dissolves when they all start going to college. His shed where he studies the animals, that's taken away by his father. And he's starting to suppress his feelings, which later shows him falling into being an alcoholic. And it's sad because he's only a 17, 18-year-old kid and he's falling into alcohol, becoming an alcoholic. He's trying so desperately to stay as an actual teenager, and to actually hold on to his sanity. He's trying everything to suppress his feelings when he shouldn't have to suppress half of his feelings. There's nothing wrong with being a homosexual. He would have been shamed, but he shouldn't have. And then a necrophiliac, that is wrong, but still he could have gotten help for that. But he falls into alcohol, and it ultimately leads to his biggest mistake of his life. So what you've been watching on your screen is Durf picking up Jeff when he's walking home alone on the side of the road. And Jeff makes 3 attempts at trying his hardest to remain human, to remain sane. And I'm going to walk you through those 3 last-ditch attempts at trying.
What are you majoring in?
Decorating. I'm decorating.
I thought you wanted to major in biology.
Yeah.
That was Jeff's first attempt at reaching out and trying to act like it was the good old days. He was essentially doing the Dahmer, which is something he was known for in school, where he'd spaz out or act mentally disabled, and we see him do it here. Durf, being the friend that he is, he knows something's wrong with Dahmer, so he feels something's wrong, so he asks, "Are you okay?" And Dahmer responds with, "Yep." Durf feels something's wrong, and he reaches out, and Dahmer rejects it. He's too afraid of coming out that he rejects the help. This is the final moment before he goes beyond the point of no return, and he says no because he's afraid of his own feelings. But Jeff, he then tries again to relive the glory days, and seconds later when he asks,
We could pop open a beer. I have a spliff left.
No. I gotta get home soon. Dinner with my folks.
Dahmer asks Durf if he wants to go in and drink some beer, like they did in high school on regular weekends or weekdays to hang out. They sat around, drank beer, and smoked weed. And beer is Jeff's #1 escape from facing reality of what his sexuality is and who he will later become if he doesn't get the help that he needs. So this is the second attempt he makes at reaching out, and Durf says no. Before Jeff does ask, Durf later explains that they were just having fun and that he is sorry for how him and his friends treated Jeff, but he tries to say they were just having fun because they were kids, and that it really didn't do much harm when in reality it did. So then Jeff asks,
How about one beer? Just one. And all is forgiven.
Okay.
Durf says yes, and then the two proceed to go into Jeff's house to have one last beer to reminisce about the old days. Durf walks in and he mentions in the car that all the lights are off, and Jeff explains that it's because he has the house to himself. But when he walks in, he feels that something isn't right, and Jeff creeps up behind him. This freaks him out, so he makes an excuse that he should probably go, and he rushes out the door, and Jeff follows him out, and he picks up a baseball bat. Jeff's main goal at this point is to kill Durf, and he struggles with it, and ultimately he can't do it, lowering the bat to his side. Durf gets into his car, and he drives off as Jeff hides the bat behind his legs so Durf can't see it. And ultimately, Durf escapes with his life. So Jeff, not knowing what to do, goes inside, has a panic attack, and he drinks. And he drinks himself to sleep that night. Jeff wakes up the following morning hungover and still not in the right state of mind, so he gets up sluggishly and he goes to his kitchen, grabs a 6-pack of beer, and decides to go for a drive. We then pick up with Jeff driving down the road a little bit sluggishly when he comes across a hitchhiker, Stephen Hicks. Now at first he doesn't pay too much attention to him and he just drives by, just having a glance. But then he quickly changes his mind and he decides to stop after one last look, and he goes back to talk to him.
Hey,
Hello. You just get out of the concert?
yeah, great show.
Where are you headed?
I made it this far. I'm headed back to Akron.
Do you wanna party some more?
With that, Jeffrey gets his first of 17 victims, Stephen Hicks. I'll let the rest of the movie play out, as the song Love Hasn't Been Here by the Michael Stanley Band plays, which perfectly represents Jeffrey Dahmer's life.
Sure.
All right, get in. My name's Jeffrey.
Stephen Hicks. Nice to meet you.